is about a friend, right?
Yeah, it's about a friend. When and let's hope that friend ain't watching. So they got out the train station to go on this nice date, and they said, "Hello." Hello, you've tuned into another episode of LLsTheTruth, and I'm here with special guests, Sharon and Sheryl.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. Please do, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Please do comment where you would like to contribute to our conversation, and please do share the information and the channel with your friends and family. So today's discussion is trick or treat. Now, what I mean by that is, are you going to get a treat if you embark on online dating, or is it going to be an absolute nightmare trying to find that ideal partner? So, I mean, why are people deciding that they want to embark on online dating? Is the traditional method of trying to find a partner not the ideal way anymore? What do you think some of the reasons are for people going on to some of the platforms such as Tinder, Hinge, Plenty of Fish? I mean, come on, what does that mean? eHarmony, Elite, Singles, Black Gentry are some of the platforms being used to find the ideal mate. So what do you think are the reasons for people going and using online dating apps?
Depends on their professionalism, isn't it? If there's lots of women that are very independent, they haven't got the time to go out and date, so they use this platform, don't they, to swipe left, swipe right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like people used to sort of meet, I don't know, I guess like maybe in clubs or, you know, friends of friends or, you know, friends of family. Is it because we're just like not going out as much generally, like socially, you know, so those opportunities don't come up? But online dating's been around for a while now, hasn't it? So maybe it's here to stay.
Yeah, definitely. I think COVID would have had enabled people to use the platform because we couldn't go anywhere. We were restricted from meeting people. So there's probably been a lot of activity on these platforms, haven't there? A lot of conversations.
Yeah, a lot of bubbles forming.
Yes.
A lot of people bubbling.
Yeah, because there was that thing about you cannot stay overnight with your partner.
Yeah, but they made it their bubble though.
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it is the case that a lot of us aren't going to particular events or occasions as often as we should do. So if you're that person that's saying, well, I'm at the stage where I'd like a partner, then the online way would probably be a good way of doing that. But what I would want to know is, well, do we actually think that the information that's on these platforms are accurate? Are they truthful? And as a person looking for a mate, are the expectations too high? So in trying to answer some of these questions, because we certainly don't have all the answers, we've done some anecdotal research. So I've asked quite a few girlfriends who have embarked on this life on online dating what their thoughts are in respect of some of the experiences they've had. One thing I would say is that people can put a lot of stuff in black and white on an app, but then when you get to meet them, you might actually find that one. Have you been catfished because that person doesn't even exist? Or is there a lot of embellishment? So one experience was that, I mean, height might be of a particular concern for you. Yeah. So if you're a person that likes to look up to your partner rather than down, that might be a particular attribute that you think is something that has to be a prerequisite of the person you're going to meet or be interested in. I was relayed a story about someone who met a guy, and when they went to meet him, after on the app it said 5'9". When they
this was about a friend, right?
Yes, about a friend. When and let's hope that friend ain't watching. So they got out the train station to go on this nice date, and they said hello, and they had to go check on the app again to say, hold on, 5'9". Now this person is only 5'5", and the person was below them, so that was a definite no-no for that person. Why lie?
Well, do you know, I'm wondering, as you were talking, I'm wondering whether social media has made this worse as well, actually, because, you know, like on Instagram, the expectations in terms of physical appearance, there's a lot of pressure. And there always has been a lot of pressure on women, but I think as well on men, you know, to kind of look a certain way, to be ripped, to have the six pack, all of that stuff. I think that probably leads to a lot of people exaggerating, you know, things on.
But that's the only way they're going to get a
profile.
date, though, isn't it? When they falsify the information about them, how they look.
But what's going to happen when you're on the date and nothing represents what you've written on the app?
But that's how they get the date in the first place. Because they're going to falsify the information. They meet the person. That person sees who they are. And then it's up to you whether you decide to stay on the date or you say, see you later.
Because they obviously hope that their winning personality
Yeah.
and their
Yeah,
smile
I
is going to make
Yeah.
up for it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's one explanation. I would say, and as I was talking to people, I was sort of compiling a list of do's and don'ts. Because there is a high need for thinking about your personal safety, especially when you decide you've had this to and fro of conversations, these conversations to the early hours of the morning when you're getting to know each other. It's all nice. Yeah, man, this is the person. Yeah, man, we got to meet. Yeah. So you're talking to her 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, getting up and you're just tired for work. Not from personal experience, I'm just explaining. So, and then you're texting every minute of the day, you know. How are you, love? Yeah, it's fine. Just going to work now. Hope you're okay. So you decide, now there's the facility on most of these apps to actually video call. So I would say the first thing to do is, and this is just my opinion, I wouldn't be comfortable exchanging my number at such an early stage. If you've got the facility to call or video call that person on the app, do that. Protect yourself a little bit. And so, one, it also allows you to see if that person is a genuine person, because no one likes to spend and invest time trying to get to know each other and then find that person doesn't even exist. And also, someone said, if you can get the passport, you know, get the passport. But, you know, I'm not going to the limits to say that will actually be provided to you. But there has been an example where a gentleman has provided the passport so that the person that they're speaking to actually can present it to their mum. That has happened. So these are the lengths that people will go to actually authenticate themselves. What do you consider is, if you're having that FaceTime conversation, that video call conversation, what were the things that you might identify as a red flag to say, maybe this is not the kind of person I want?
They've got no teeth.
Yeah. Yes, because you don't want a gummy bear.
I mean, I guess that's where you can see whether they can really banter, you know,
Yes.
you know, the sort of level of conversation that you can have with them.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing texting, you know, texting is a very different form of communication, isn't it, to actually having a conversation.
personality.
You can hide away behind texting as well, isn't it? Because you're not actually speaking to them.
Yeah. So, I mean, what if you saw that their surroundings weren't particularly pleasant? I don't know.
I think as long as it's clean and tidy,
Yeah.
that should be, you know, so it's not got to be like ostentatious or anything like that, but as long as it's clean and tidy, I would have thought,
Yeah.
you know, unless you like somebody that's messy and whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
And you want to work on that person.
Yeah,
But
unless
if you
you're
just
looking for a
want
fixer
somebody
upper. Yeah.
with standard attributes, then maybe it's not a good example. Good. Right. So please do try and use the facilities and features of that app in order to try and authenticate whether the person is the person they are. And I would say that I would draw on some of the descriptions that they've put in about themselves. So if they said they're friendly, they've travelled, this, that and the other, well, where have they travelled to then? So ask those sort of questions and try and get as much information about them. So you've got your checklist, haven't you? So what's your checklist of who you're looking for? Do you need somebody that's sociable? Do you need somebody that's outgoing? They've got their own job. They're financially secure. So you need to have that conversation with them to try and understand whether that checklist, and I hope it's not an extensive one because we are going to talk about expectations, whether that person fits and fits the merit for you to actually agree upon meeting up. So FaceTime is an excellent way of doing that. I'd also say get their actual name and do your due diligence. Check all social media platforms, see if you can find them on Facebook, Insta, wherever it is. And you might even be able to identify that they're friends with somebody that you know. So you can, if you're close enough to that person, you can have a conversation about whether that person is a genuinely nice person or not. Or you need to stay clear.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'd absolutely say do not agree. If you agree to meet, I think it was highly risky for you to agree for them to come to your home.
Oh no.
You
don't know nothing about them though, isn't it? Exactly.
Yeah. But that has been done, hasn't it? It has been done. I think that some people get a false sense of security in that they know the person just because they've had a lot of interaction with them by text.
And I would have thought that on a lot of the apps, you know, I'm not an expert in online dating, but I would have thought that on a lot of the apps, they probably give a lot of this safety advice and guidance, don't they? And it's there for a reason, you know, I think. So I would definitely say things like that, you know, meeting in public places and letting people know where you're going and what time you've left and all of those sorts of things. Yeah.
But I think sometimes people get carried away in the fact that that person's communicating with you a lot. I mean, you hear this a lot, especially with younger people or people that you might think are vulnerable, that they think that they're actually getting to know a person just because of those messages. Yet they could be the total opposite. They're presenting themselves in a particular way that's artificial, and it's for you to do your own due diligence vetting to understand whether they're presenting themselves as they are. So that false sense of security, I would say, is don't be hung up on that. You don't know them from Adam. Anybody can put a few sentences together.
But then if you're smart enough, you set up another profile as somebody else and text the same person and see if you get the same answers. That's what I would do. If I was single, that's what I would do.
Just to test
them out. Yeah.
It's funny you should say that, you know, Sharon, because there are two of my friends who did that with one person. So you might think this is a bit unfair, but I think the emphasis really was to see whether that person was genuine or just trying to fish or get plenty of fish. And so these two friends once had started to speak to this gentleman for about 3 or 4 weeks. They'd met, they'd been on 2 dates now. So the other friend then started to talk to that person, and the cycle started the same as the first friend. So their confidence in that person then drops. Then the argument might be, well, they don't know whether they're interested in the first friend. But
why is 2 friends going for the same person?
They're not.
They're just testing.
They're just testing.
But did they say they were exclusive with that first one, or did they give that impression?
Well, that's the argument. It could be that gentleman has done nothing wrong because he's on the app and he's trying to find the ideal person. He doesn't know you yet, so he's got the right to speak to anybody anyway.
Well,
doesn't he? So
the games women play. The games
for love, for true love. What's come up a lot in some of my conversations with actually all being female conversations is this phrase narcissist. Now, I don't know why it comes up so often, but in some part of the conversation, when some of our friends have been on these apps, have dated the person, they've liked them initially, and then for some reason, quite early on, there is an argument or a disagreement, which really should be a red flag, because you're just going to know somebody. So why should you be having an argument or a disagreement so early on? And so they've talked about is a classic narcissist. So Sharon, you've got a definition of a narcissist, haven't you?
Yeah, and it says it's a person who has an excessive interest in and admiration of themselves. They need supply, attention, and adoration. Dating apps are fertile ground for narcissists, as they will have the supply and rich pickings.
Right. So that last sentence was somebody who'd said that they feel the dating app is fertile ground for narcissists because they have that constant supply of being able to present themselves in a particular way, getting their adoration, getting that attention, and not necessarily being an ideal person for that situation. You want to say something?
No, I was just saying, you see with that last bit there, you see with the rich pickings, when you're on the app, that's probably the most time or the only time you'll ever have so much women at your hands.
Yes.
Because you can
right,
pick whatever you want
Yeah.
and slim it down. You can date 2-3 women in one day if you want to.
Yes, you could do. Yeah. So that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's an ideal
I can
ground
see
for
that.
it.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
Do you think that you might get women that are narcissists on there as well?
Yeah.
I don't think it's just specific to a gender.
Yeah.
It's just that my research,
Yeah.
anecdotal as it is, are centered around females.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see that females will fit the criteria. So this behavioural trait of a narcissist, what are the attributes? What should we be looking for?
So there is a huge list. So I won't go through all of them, but an exaggerated sense of self-importance, a sense of entitlement, requiring constant admiration, expect to be recognised as superior without the achievements, exaggerating achievements and talents, which you can imagine that in terms of doing a profile online, that probably meets with it, isn't it? Being preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or being the perfect mate. Yeah. So,
And the list goes on.
yeah.
I mean, have any of our viewers been involved what you might term as a narcissist? What's your explanation of a narcissist? What are your comments in relation to this? Because there's a lot of documented videos about narcissists flying around at the moment, and it's just so interesting that everybody that I spoke to, there's quite a few women I have to say, said, oh, he's a narcissist. Or is it the case that the attributes of a narcissist are so extensive that people can be wrongly accused of being a narcissist? The debate's out for me anyway.
Yeah.
One of the other factors that came through from some of the people that I spoke to is that, and obviously this is from a woman's perspective who's looking for a male, was that a lot of the male people on the app probably weren't ready to have a relationship because they had come out of a long-standing relationship, probably divorced or separated, being hurt terribly financially, their situation was a different place, and they're still healing, but they're still trying to jump into another situation before they're ready. I think that can be attributed to any gender. It could be any situation that maybe if you're not confident about your own self-worth, if you've just come out of a long-standing relationship, you don't know what you're doing in life because that's unsettled you, then you might try and jump into another situation before you're ready.
But some people, they don't learn, do they? They need to find themselves first before they jump into another relationship to know their worth.
Yes, exactly. That's what I would say.
Yeah. And not looking to somebody else for your happiness.
That's right. That's right. Because some people do that, don't they? They look from happiness from somebody else. Well, actually, you need to be happy within yourself first. Because nobody can't give you happiness.
Yeah. So as ladies, we always talk about our checklist of our ideal man or ideal partner. So do we think our checklist can be too extensive sometimes? Are we looking for somebody that actually isn't out there?
I think that at the moment, because the dynamic has changed quite a lot with the genders, women sort of working more and really sort of striving and doing their own thing and being quite strong, being quite strong in society. I think it has put a lot of pressure then on men to then live up to what can be quite challenging expectations. Definitely, and sometimes a bit confusing as well. So the whole thing about should the guy pay for the first date, pay for the meal on the first date and all of that, but women still wanting that equality, being an equal partner. So I think for men it can be quite confusing really, and I think women's expectations definitely have been raised, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a general statement, but I suppose women are always talking about they don't need a man, they're fine by themselves, yet they're on the app.
I think you only say that when you're on your own though, isn't it? When you're a single person, you'll always say, and because you've been on your own for so long, you will say, I don't need a man, I can do this, I can do that. But in hindsight, later on in life, when all your friends are settled down, you do want somebody. You do need that companion.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be that person on your own forever.
Right, okay.
There's definitely that element of, so when women are saying that, it's because they're saying, you know, I've got the job, I've got the house, I've got a car, I've got, you know, so they don't need that financial security, which is what women used to get from, you know, back in the 50s and the 60s. You know, those were the roles the man used to provide. And so because there isn't that dynamic anymore, then actually what is it that the women do want from the men? But as you say, you know, there's that companionship, the emotional support, all of that stuff, you know. So the needs are different, aren't they? The needs, you know, from each other. And it's probably the same in terms of what men need from women. It's changed over the last kind of 30, 40 years.
Well, what I think is quite telling is that all of these apps ask you specific questions about your personality, what your likes are, what your dislikes are, what you're looking for in a person. So, and some of those questions are very extensive depending on which app you're on. So, in order for you to be matched with an ideal partner in there, hundreds of people that are signed up to that app, the algorithms are set up to match you with a person. So you will, when you go on the app, it will match you up, and then you'll have this long list of people that you can swipe left or right to. Yeah. What's quite telling is you get to the end of the list and you haven't actually pressed yes. Is it press left or right?
I don't know which one it is, but...
Let's say you swiped right.
Yeah.
You haven't swiped right to any, yet you've gone through this extensive and exhaustive list of what you're looking for, what your personality traits are, what you're interested in, what your hobbies are, what your culture is, what your values are, and you haven't actually swiped right. That, for me, tells me that your expectations are unrealistic.
What do you think? Or is it because you start judging them by the physical?
Right.
But then as you get older, when you're younger, you do go for that physical look, don't you? But I think as you get older, those things change.
No, Mum, you still
have to look good. Don't get me wrong.
What about 5'9"?
No, the 5'9" the 5'9" is not making it. That's not making it.
Because I bet you, Mr. 5'9", I bet you when he had his height at whatever his real height was, I bet his list of potentials was tiny. Because the amount of women that would have said, I don't want a short man, he would have had a really small list, and so he probably had to...
Yeah, but then he's wasting his time. He's wasting his time.
No, he hasn't, because he's got a date out of it.
No, he's wasting his time.
No, because he actually got a date, and he will get loads of dates.
And there might be one, and there might be just one that, you know, he goes on that date and they love his personality, and, you know...
Yeah, but don't you think there's a real question to that, especially if these algorithms have been finely tuned? Yeah, I mean, we know about, what's that TV show? Gosh, where you go on and you got this whole contestant so you can choose a mate. Take me out. Yeah, they're supposed to fit you up with somebody that's accurate, although it's probably not a good example. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of investment that goes into some of these apps to actually match you up, and especially when you have to pay to actually subscribe to these apps. You would think they were more than half accurate, wouldn't they, in matching you up with somebody, yet you've exhausted your list of possible matches. So I think you need to readdress yourself. Is it more that you're looking at how the person looks, which
you can have the looks, but have they got the mentality to go with it too?
That's it. So these are the questions, because we don't have the answers. We're just putting it out there.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, though. And I do know 2 people that have met their now spouses on online dating.
Oh my gosh, how many dates?
So I think the one was about date number 8 or 9.
Okay.
And I think the other one was about the same, maybe slightly less actually. Yeah.
So it depends on if... Well, I don't think it would be good to say it depends if you're fussy or not, because your friends probably were very fussy.
Yeah,
it's just fussy. Maybe they were being realistic about what they want and what they contend with. Because I think at some point you got to think, I need to compromise now. So what are my what are the areas of my checklist that I can compromise on?
And I think although they were very fussy, I think in terms of the attributes, and this is nothing, no disrespect to their current partners, but I don't think they were as picky on the physical. So I don't think they would just swipe, because sometimes somebody can take a bad photo. So I don't think they would swipe left just because somebody didn't necessarily look perfect. You know, I think they would go with it and see. And, you know, maybe that's one of the things, you know, just because they haven't got an airbrushed photo, it doesn't mean that they're, you know.
I mean, I sometimes wonder why Beyonce's with Jay-Z, because nothing to look at, but he's packing a lot of other stuff though, isn't he? Yeah. But you still have to wake up to that person, you know. So maybe I'm just shallow.
Maybe just maybe give them the benefit of that. Maybe assume that they've taken a bad photo.
Exactly.
There'll be a spark somewhere, but not that kind of spark. So
unless it's wrapped.
That's right.
Yeah. So on some of the apps, there's the facility to see whether someone's vaccinated or not, which I found very peculiar. So me and some of my friends were saying there needs to be another facility, and that facility needs to be a red flag emoji that basically indicates whether the description that they've left on this app is truthful or not. I think that would be a really good idea. Maybe we can put that on the dark web somewhere.
I think that's a good idea. Do you think people would be truthful though about it, or would they use it almost like to, you know, if they didn't get on with somebody, would they then
need to be fact checked?
Be hating?
Is that facts? Or is that you just being malicious?
Exactly.
But I thought it was interesting. I mean,
good idea. The
debate on online dating will go on and on. It's a new era of instant relationships, instant this. Let's see if it works for you, then fine. But if it did work for you, we'd like to hear from you. How many dates did you have to go on before you met the ideal mate? Or what have you been your trick or treat experiences of online dating? Please let us know. Please do subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.